What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Miles Morales will be Game of the Year. Now, I actually asked this question over on Twitter, and you can follow me on Twitter, by the way, Podcast Now 15. I said I want to talk about Miles Morales. Obviously, we had the Daily Bugle, right? The couple different pictures that had, their writing, talking about basically the early days of Miles being in the city with Peter. And I said, do you want me to cover that? Do you want me to cover something else? And I got, a couple of pretty awesome requests. And a lot of people were talking about the Game of the Year potential, and I do think that's a really nice path to go down, especially for this video. So I'm going to be covering this again. Remember, I'm going to be covering this like weekly leading into its release. I have other videos planned, so it's going to be like a weekly thing. If you guys have other ideas for me to do videos on, definitely let me know in the comments. I read them, and I can definitely do that. I'll shout you guys out. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel and have the bell icon turned on so you guys don't miss any of my videos, even though sometimes I do more videos than YouTube will give out notifications. So I do think, let me just start off by saying this, I do think this game has a shot at being Game of the Year. I do have to be, upfront and honest with you guys, as I have been, I would say, for the entirety that I've been on YouTube, in that I don't think Spider-Man 2018 was the greatest thing on planet Earth, okay? I don't think Insomniac is like our overlords, right? They're like our saviors. I think it was a really good game. I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting or I'm not saying that, the game sucked. It was a very, very good game, one of the best games that came out in 2018. I fully stand by anybody that said it was their Game of the Year. I would say there were other games that I liked better that year, but it's all up to the person. I do think it was very, very good. And Spider-Man 2 was something I was insanely excited for. In fact, right, we talked about leaks and rumors about that for the last, I'd say, about a year. We talked about the rumors of it, and it turns out that some of them turned into Miles Morales. Now, again, does Miles Morales go into Spider-Man 2? I think so. We'll talk about that in future videos. But here we are with Miles, and again, I've kept my expectations kind of in the middle region. I'm not going in expecting the greatest thing of all time. I'm not even thinking about it, I would say, daily. I'm thinking more about games like Cyberpunk or even like Demon Souls. I would say arguably more. It doesn't mean that I'm going to like them more than Miles, but I'm just thinking of other games more. And I actually think, and I've said this before, I think that's given Miles kind of a like an underdog kind of feel, because the game has surprised me countless times, especially that gameplay that, even what you guys are potentially watching right now, right? The 7-minute gameplay, it was incredible. And I didn't think we would necessarily get something, because I wasn't really expecting anything. Okay, I really didn't set my expectations anywhere for this game. Look, the game's going to be shorter, right? It's going to be kind of like a 1.5, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm completely okay with playing that. I played Uncharted Lost Legacy. I'm more than happy to play like a 7 to 10 hour thing. I think this is going to be one of those games early on that pushes the PS5 very hard. It's also on PS4, which again to me does diminish it a little bit. I've been very, very strong on that viewpoint. If you guys don't agree, it's totally cool. To me, I would have preferred only PS5 stuff. Miles, I get it. I get why Miles, because it's going to sell, a boatload of copies. I get why it's on both. But this game, I think, is going to show us very early on what the PS5 is capable of doing, right? The ray tracing, all of the graphical achievements that they're able to do. But then also, that is, at this point, I would consider it to be, like, very safe. Like, we know we're going to get a very, very beautiful, visual game, okay? There's going to be a lot of graphical things that are going to impress us. It's going to run super well. It's going to load super well. We know that. That's stuff that, again, is all in the bag. We can safely say that that is good. And honestly, with next gen, it's about time that is kind of a guarantee. I think a lot of higher end PCs, when you put stuff on PC, you kind of expect that as well, right? So going in, I've never really talked about that, but going into the PS5, going into the Series X or S, I do kind of expect that we're going to be safe on, okay, we shouldn't really have massive loading times. We really shouldn't have massive like frame rate drops and all of this garbage stuff like that we're kind of sometimes used to seeing on current consoles. We shouldn't see that then. The only thing left is, okay, the actual game. Does it take steps to really make Miles separated from Peter? Does the story carry on? I feel like, the more I look at the 2018 Spider-Man, the story, I would argue, is probably the weakest part. And you could say, because I've seen people say, the story is incredible. It's their favorite Spider-Man story. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm right. I'm just saying this is just a difference of opinion. I'm also not saying the story is bad. I do like the story. I think the story is very good. I wouldn't say it's amazing. I wouldn't say it's perfect. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't go so far, but I would say it's a very good story. And again, that's actually, I think, a testament to what Spider-Man does so well. The web swinging and getting from one place to another is probably the most fun, and I've seen this. Actually, somebody did an article, I don't remember where, but somebody did an article that, the traversal mechanics in Spider-Man 2018 is, the best the gaming has ever made. I'd probably agree with that, because I really, there's loading times, there's fast travel of places. A lot of games you can get on, a horse, you could just run. I mean, think about Spider-Man. It is very, very fun. I'd say Arkham Knight is a really, really, really good one as well, but I mean, Spider-Man, it's just so fun to go from one place to the other, and it's just so fluid, so it really works so well. So again, there's also things in that mechanic, in the gameplay mechanic, you're going to have in the bag with Miles. And again, the gameplay that we're seeing, it looks phenomenal. It really does. And I think the gameplay even kind of makes me worried for Spider-Man, for Peter Parker, where it's is Miles going to be better to play as? Am I going to have more fun playing as Miles with all of his really different and cool powers? Am I going to have more fun playing as him than Peter, which would be an issue for Spider-Man 2 unless we're splitting up the time that we're playing as characters, which I do think we'll probably get that in Spider-Man 2. But, you know what I mean? Those are things we have to think about as well. That, I think, is going to be the big package here. With Miles, I think it's really going to sink or swim with how much fun it is, okay? Is it different enough than Spider-Man, which I honestly do think it will be. And then also, again, the story. When you have a shorter story, there's really, in my opinion, there's no time for fluff. Now, again, the gameplay that we're seeing, or the gameplay they've shown, that's a set piece, and they showed that for a reason, right? There's a reason why they showed us all of that. It's because that's a huge set piece. There's obviously, even homages to, past Spider-Man things in general, right, when he's holding the bridge together. So, I mean, there's 100% a reason why they did that. Hopefully, the game isn't, because, again, it will be a shorter game. Hopefully, it's not filled with a lot of fluff where it's well, let's let you do the same kind of thing a couple times and get you, I want to get in. I want to do a lot of different things. I want them to show me that they're pushing things in a new direction, and also that this isn't, it's a spin-off. It's like a 1.5, but I don't want it to be a lazy thing where, I mean, in all reality, you could look at this game as they needed time for Spider-Man 2, so they made this. I mean, it's been done before, even with the Batman games, right? Arkham Origins was kind of like that. Hey, make this because Arkham Knight's going to take some time, but we want a Batman game in between so that people don't have to wait, and also to make money. You know what I mean? So Insomniac's huge. They have a really big team. I'm sure they can handle doing this and multiple things at the same time. In fact, they are. They're doing actually a lot of things at the same time. But I don't want it to kind of, I don't want it to kind of ring out that yeah, this is a lazy, we worked on this for a year and a half kind of thing. We threw it together and here's the best we got. But it's just to hold you over until Spider-Man 2. I don't think it'll be that, but it's possible, right? I really do think this can be Game of the Year, though. The thing holding it back, again, is the story. Will the story actually be able to hold up, right? Will Miles be able to carry it, which I do think is possible. And secondly, we'll just, flat out, this has been not a great year for, the world. I think that's pretty obvious, but actually an amazing year. One of the best years I can remember for gaming. I mean, we've had a lot of polarizing games, like The Last of Us Part 2. Some people think that game is the game of the generation. Some people think it's the worst game ever created, right? There is in-between ground, right? I actually fall in the in-between ground, but there's a game, Ghost of Tsushima, and those are, by the way, we're just looking at PlayStation games right now, right? But we could continue with Miles and also with Demon's Souls, right? The PS5 exclusive game. So PlayStation's had quite an amazing year. Even a game like Dreams. Dreams was a game that, not everybody was playing, or not everybody does play in general, but that is a very, very special game. And then besides that, again, Doom, Final Fantasy VII, lots and lots and lots of games came out this year. So, and also you look at the fall period in general, you're going to have Watch Dogs, you're going to have Cyberpunk, you're going to have Assassin's Creed. I think Cyberpunk, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy, these are some of the games I think we're going to see come back up in game of the year discussion. Maybe even like a game like Fall Guys or Among Us makes it for like different kind of reasons because of Jeff Keighley, right? But it's gonna be it's a tough thing. It actually is a testament to again how great this year has been for gaming, because if Miles doesn't win Game of the Year, I wouldn't honestly say that's shocking at all. I don't expect it to. So that's, I guess, the blunt, honest thing. I was waiting to the very end, right? Because very few people are going to hear me say this part. I think it probably should be under contention for Game of the Year, but if we're looking at it just bluntly, like just staring at it, my Game of the Year right now is Final Fantasy VII's Remake. I think Cyberpunk has a really, really good shot. If Watch Dogs is just like a pure fun like injection into my veins, that could be one. I don't see Miles beating some of those. Okay, I think it could beat a lot of them. Could beat Ghost of Tsushima, could beat The Last of Us Part 2, but I don't know, like right now, if I would say just by looking at it, and that's unfair, right, because I haven't played it, but I do think it should be under consideration for a Game of the Year. I think it will be. I think people will be looking at it. I'm just not sure if it will get it, okay? So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think it'll be Game of the Year? Should it be Game of the Year? Obviously, without playing it, we can only talk about it so much. Let me know, again, in the comments if there's any other kinds of videos for Miles you want me to talk about. I'm going to have quite a few different videos over the next several weeks, so let me know. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Make sure you guys have hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. Follow me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15, and I will see you all on the next video.